Guys, what's up and welcome to Ground Reality. I have Rohan Kulkarni, Mananjay Mehta, Karan Chug, who you already heard, and then we have a very big personality who's entered this conversation, Digvijay Singh Kadiwada. What's up, bro? What's up, everybody?
What's up, dude? Rohan, thanks for having us all, for making this happen. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, guys, now, getting straight into it, it's been a very disappointing World Test Championship final for India. We never thought that in a 6-day game, which 3 days were practically washed out, that India would still manage to lose. Now, there were a lot of positive people on this very chat who we did a pre-game with. Diggy, I'm just filling you in, with Mananjay, with Karan Chog, and with Rohan Kulkarni, and everybody called for a India win, and they did say that India will win comfortably. However, that is not to be. So now there are many reasons, many theories. Please, let's start now. Karan Chog, you were very adamant that India is going to win. You were very confident India was going to win. Was it lack of preparation?
Lack of preparation, yes. We actually kept the worst for the last. I mean, on the last day, losing 8 wickets for 100 runs. We didn't expect this to, and another 45 minutes into the session, Kohli and Pujara would have played. It would have been it would have gone to a dead draw. So I don't know what to say about this team. Maybe lack of preparation. Kohli comes and says that we wanted we wanted a 3 series tournament. Yeah, excuses are always there. Excuses always will be made. But you're playing, your formidable New Zealand team who've beaten England over there. I don't know.
So yeah, no, you make a good point. Diggy, would you like to add on to his point? What was it, like lack of preparation? Because
yeah, look. I'm glad Mananjay is here because there's plenty of proof. Otherwise, everyone will say I'm a hindsight king. Before the toss, before we entered England, before anything, even when India had a great first day, I kept telling Mananjay on personal messages and group messages, India doesn't stand a chance of winning. We won't win this test match. If at all, it'll be a draw due to weather. And Mananjay is my...
Mangles, he believes anyways India's going to lose every match. So
that's not true. Look, I'm a patriot.
1 minute. I'll just...
Okay, so let me just lay down my 3 points within a couple of minutes. So the first one was proof. So we can talk about, my great Yoda, know-it-all, etc. in the next few conversations that we have around surrounding questions, which Rohan, Mananjay, yourself, Karan will come into. But India never stood a chance of winning this test. And I'll tell you why. Yes, lack of preparation. It's not their fault. It's not the boys' fault. There's only that much they can do. I mean, if you're going to play gulli danda with each other on like a nursery wicket at Southampton, after traveling from each of their hometowns to Bombay to quarantine and London to quarantine and Southampton, to get Pujara out there on a field to make 8 runs of 37 balls or whatever it was, boss, that net session he could have done at home also. Okay, people like Mayank Agarwal and Natarajan and all have spent more time in quarantine than actually playing a game. So it's not the guys' fault. They don't make these decisions, right? They get paid to entertain. They get paid to play. And I think for them, wearing their country's badge is probably, and it's a fair assumption, that's the pinnacle, right? Everybody wants to play for India. I think nothing beats that. You can have franchise cricket and whatnot. So it's not the boys' fault, right? It's the system's fault. BCCI and ICC have been notorious for cocking things up for a very long time. Now, not to say that they don't get a lot of things right, they do. But dude, 8th graders could have planned this better. Yes, there was COVID and the whole 2-year test championship, could have been planned better, of course. Yeah, all those things. Of course, we know COVID was a major hindrance. But come on, man, who travels? New Zealand has gone all the way from New Zealand, all the way to England to play a solitary test match. There's never been a single test match series ever in the world. So you play 2-3 matches, but you show up for one game. Stupidity. So Virat is right. There needed to be at least a 3-match series, first of all. Secondly, you're doing it in a place like freaking England. Yeah, home of cricket and all that stuff. Weather's going to play a role. So I think the plus, though, is that people have realized that it's a great thing. It's a great thing for Test cricket to have this championship thing. But either EPL or whatever it is, the person at top of the points table at the end of the series wins. But obviously we want money, commercial rights, so one has to play 2. Then have it do 3, Like, you're taking 20 people on tour, they're not even getting to play a game. So it's flawed in many, many ways. Now think about a Pujara or Rahane, they don't even play any other format. You're taking them, you're slaving them, really. You're destroying careers here, right? Now, what's the positive? This 6th day rule. I think that should be mandatory across all test matches, irrespective, because where weather plays a role, it's giving a chance. And that one extra day, as we all know as cricket lovers, it's hugely important, right? Hugely important. Imagine all those test matches in history, if they had one extra day, you'd have results in so many games, right? So I think the negatives were horrible planning over a period of 2 years, like horrible planning, even the point system and all, my God, like, I mean, it's a joke. Plus, that every test match should have a 6 day, because you have a buffer of 4 or 5 days for the next test. Can't be that hard to have like a one buffer day, right? And the third positive is that they realize that if you're going to have such a big bench strength and you truly want test cricket to succeed, you're going to have to give your bench a chance to play. And that's only going to happen 3 test match, 4 test match, 5 test match series. It's not going to happen with a solitary test match. So, and lastly, all my predictions came true because we never fucking stood a chance. Number one side, conditions that favor them. They had 2 test matches ahead of us in England in those conditions, with our boys bicharas coming from India, playing on bloody whatever Chinnaswamy and Wankhede, and bloody showing up in Southampton. I mean, come on. Like, it doesn't take Einstein to figure out that that's just not going to happen. So, those are my points.
Fair enough. And I must say, and we'll get back to this a little bit, what you're saying. And I must say that we did a pre-game conversation, and I'm with you on the fact that India never stood a chance. I said that. I was also saying that India has no chance and probably a draw if it rains. That's what I actually mentioned. Anyway, moving on. Rohan, what do you feel?
I just feel we lack preparation, like how Digvijay and you were saying before. We were just optimistic before when we said India's gonna win. It was just optimism, nothing else. Down the line, maybe we knew it was a difficult game to be with the planning and everything. I won't repeat the same thing, but I think we should have batted better. I don't except for I think Rohit and Rishabh Pant, and even though Rahane and Kohli scored at 40 odd in the first innings, no one looked comfortable. There was no confidence in the game. This was just basic cricket. I don't think beside Rohit and Rishabh in the second innings, no one actually played a good innings or a confident innings. Yeah, yes, you will get beaten on an English wicket. That's fine. English conditions are difficult. But that's how you get your game into. Shubman Gill, we hyped him so much. I rightly decided not to take him in the squad for the game. Because he's just too raw at this point. You compare New Zealand players from under 19 to Convoy, for example, who's 29 making a debut. He looks so confident right now. So there's something right which New Zealanders do from under 19 to 29, because their team under 19, under 21, under 23 teams are not that strong. So if you compare the decisions they take from that age group till 29, then it makes a lot of difference. Convoy just made his debut and look how he played. He was the only one to get a half century the entire game. And he's on this 4th test. So I think that proves a point. And I agreed with the team selection with 2 spinners. I think people have been criticizing it a lot, but I think we should go to our strength, which is spin. And I don't think that's a fault there. I just think we didn't bat enough. We couldn't get out. We can't get out in twice. We can't lose 20 wickets in 3 days. I don't think that's possible.
That's a good point you make, actually, because the stats suggest that in 2017, 2018, between Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma and Cheteshwar Pujara, they got 18 centuries. Whereas since 2019, and of course it's been a start-stop season because of COVID, but they've got together, these guys have only got 6 centuries amongst them. So that, I mean, the batting does have some role to play in this.
Rohit, I agree on this point, centuries, but it's about time for. I'm just not talking about Test cricket or ODI. I'm just talking about ODIs also at this point. You can't depend your entire batting lineup on Virat and Rohit scoring. It's not fair on them. They fail a few games and then you lose the game. And then you blame them, oh, these guys didn't play. There are other 5 batsmen as well. At some point, these batsmen have to stand up. Even though they are not as popular or they don't have the strength of Rohit and Virat, but they are still representing India. At that point, you have to realize, just don't put the blame game on these 2. There are other 5 batsmen in the team as well who need to perform.
Yes, I can't, agree with you more on that one. Manan, what do you feel? Yeah, you were particularly very positive.
I was positive, I think, the most important point about the entire test match was that we were outplayed on the field by New Zealand. Diggy makes points about how the whole system is flawed, but see, it's the same for everyone, whether it's New Zealand, India, everyone has these weird schedules, and the boards all across the world, whether it's football, cricket, they do things for profit and they do things based on what they want. Players are just a commodity. That's a hard fact. Coming to the game, I think we were thoroughly outplayed. Like New Zealand turned up, they were well prepared, they played 2 tests innings, they looked like, they were test match ready.
Yeah.
And I think, at the end of the day, I mentioned last time, bowlers win matches. If you see the way Jameson or Saudi, or any of these guys, they came in and they bowled relentless lines.
Yeah.
And the Indian batsmen succumbed. Virat played a terrible shot in the second innings. Pujara should have left that ball. So, I can state a million points off the field which are wrong, but we were outplayed. This is the best team. We were the number one team going into the finals to beat these guys. The favorites were us. Yes, we didn't have practice games. Yes, we did not have tune-up matches. But this is these times are different. COVID has changed the landscape of every sport. So kudos to New Zealand. Yeah, I think they've really played well. The batsmen looked great, and even our bowlers for that matter. Jasprit Bumrah didn't bowl the right line. Ishant was the only one and Shami. There were times Shami's spell was he bowled well, but it weren't short bursts. And look at the way Kane Williamson batted, bro. See, This is what I mentioned. If Virat Kohli turns up, a lot of the pressure goes off. Since Rohan said rightly that there's too much pressure on Virat and Rohit or any of these 2-3 guys to perform. Now Kane versus Virat in this scenario, look at the way Kane batted. Both innings, he was ready. You could see that he was waiting for the ball to come. He played the right technique for the wicket. So, all I have to say is, well played, New Zealand, yeah. And, I expected more from India. That's about it.
No, absolutely. And I think that the Kane Williamson point is very crucial because, as per me at least, he won the test for New Zealand. Similarly, how he won the 2019 semi-final in Manchester. Diggy, if you remember, we met at that game and we were at that game and India struggled and that is a World Cup we should have won.
That's what I'm trying to say, Mangla. It's very important for the biggest players of the team to turn up in the biggest stage of the tournament. Rohan last time was very scathing of Virat. He mentioned that I don't back Virat because he's never going to make runs in a big match. And I felt that this was, an exact moment for a fan like Rohan to be convinced that Virat Kohli is the best batsman in the world. But he didn't turn up. Whereas they turned up, and similarly their bowlers versus our bowlers our bowlers didn't perform up to the level that they should have.
I have a theory on that, if I can interject.
Please.
Before your next question. So that's a very valid point. And the question is why, right? Because Virat Kohli is more of a ODI specialist who plays a lot of T20 cricket. He's a captain of his franchise. He's the captain of the Indian cricket team in all formats. So there's obviously a lot of workload. Now you look at Joe Root doesn't make his T20 side. He's part of the big four, right? Let's talk about the big four. Kane Williamson occasionally plays T20. When he plays, he's on the bench even for Hyderabad. He's not even leading the side. They had to switch that over because Warner failed. Otherwise, he was not the first choice 11. He wasn't even the first choice batsman, though he's very good and I would have it, right? Yeah. So the point with the big four is, or a Steve Smith even for that matter, doesn't play all the T20s for his nation. And for franchise cricket, yes, because he's a big brand player, but he's not that effective, right? If you look at it, Steve Smith is not a very effective T20 player. Like if you didn't have him in the side, I don't think it's going to affect Australia that much. For us, Virat Kohli is more a short format specialist who's a very good and talented test cricketer. But the question is, should he be the test match leader? He should bat at 4, no doubt. But compared to the big four, is he your go-to number 4 batsman for India in the coming, say, 5 years?
Biggie,
right?
Sorry to interrupt you, but the fact that you're making this point now, till a month ago, everyone was saying Virat is the best batsman in all formats. So your theory it's valid in a technical aspect, but in today's time, Virat has chosen to be this man, whether to be the main man in all three formats. So if he is now, if you're saying the dependence, are we too dependent on Virat? Come on, man. I mean, it's like saying Sachin Tendulkar had T20 in his time. He would still be the Test match, which is the premier version of the game.
But then what's the system? What's the system doing for this? You can have this, circus rotating door situation in ODI and T20 cricket because there's plenty for all players to choose and get their hands on and become a star here or there. Whether Prithvi Shaw, KL Rahul, Shikhar Dhawan, there's a lot of space for everybody. When Test match cricket, now whether it's a Rahane or a Pujara or even a Shami who's trying to make a comeback of sorts but doesn't have too much time, because bowlers, especially fast bowlers, would have a shorter career than batsmen in that sense. Now you take a Shubman Gill, Rishabh Pant. If you play rotating doors with them in Test cricket, it's going to be a complete faluda. Are we giving our boys enough Test cricket? The insecurity for a Pujara or a Rahane, there's just too much at stake for them. Their careers are going to be 4 or 5 years. Is he going to be there practicing, hitting the gym, going to NCA, meeting Dravid, doing all this shit to play a single Test match a year, barring COVID? I'm talking about next year.
Virat already called out
calendar.
Virat called out Pujara, not technical. No, he didn't name him, but he said that after this Test match, I'm looking at making serious changes around the batsman.
Yeah, that's just going to be hell. That's going to be hell rod for everybody, right? Because you can't have like somebody and just plug in at number 3. I mean, there's no identified character there to give that role to. You've tried your KL Rahul, groom them, sure, but tell them that, okay, you guys are going to be there in the long haul, right? A Mayank Agarwal too, for example. All these guys, if they're going to play rotating door cricket between T20, ODI and Test matches, we can forget about having a great Test match side. We're never going to have a great Test 11 going forward. I think that's a gap that's like very evident now. We were a great Test playing nation. We've done phenomenally well over the last 10 years, no doubt about it. But going forward, you see some of the other teams, the kind of progress they're making in terms of strategy. I think BCCI is missing. Then there's a big hole in like their psychology here as to how to plan your Test 11 and how to put that carrot in front of them. Be like, Pujara, boss, you're never going to play ODI and T20 cricket, but I guarantee you, bro, we're going to give you 15 Test matches this year because you're the best number 3 out there, right? Today, now Virat Kohli is even calling him out for that, or even Ajinkya Rahane for that matter of fact, who won you a series abroad. If he has to be questioned at number 5, you're screwed. These are your best number 3 and number 5 in the country still. I wouldn't put anybody else there, at least not for the next 3 years. I would rather have them try and fail. Who else are you going to plug in there?
That's the point which comes up, right? That's the point which comes up. You need to have a balanced team at one point of time. That's what I was talking about. Like, except for Virat and Rohit, there has to be someone who has to be making a name for himself. Pujara and Rahane have done that over the years.
Yeah.
But who do you see as a successor to it? That's the point. Yeah. Who are you planning to? Who are you giving those important Test matches or that experience? Who are you planning to? There's you don't have a decided backup to that place. If you decide, okay, for Rohit, you have Shubman Gill coming up. For Kohli, you don't have anyone coming up. For these two, apart from these two, now you're planning for backup for Pujara and Rahane. I'll ask the entire panel this point. Tell me one player who can fit into, or who BCCI have planned through all these years prepared him to play this match. That's what New Zealanders did.
Nobody.
Convoy was built to play this Test match after, even if he's 29. You have to build players to play a Test match. If you play them IPLs, they are not going to get you anywhere.
Now, guys, see, we can talk about a balanced team. We can talk about individual batsmen not performing, and I completely agree that people should be given security and they should be given that time to perform and take their batting to another level. It's a process, right? Even Ganguly, Dravids, Lakshmans were not born in a year or 2 years. Over a period of time, they became that good. But the overarching question at this point of time is that the fact of the matter also is that in the last 7 or 8 years, across formats, we've not won an ICC trophy. Whereas this is, like Diggy said, it's been the best 10 years of probably Indian cricket ever since we won the World Cup to go from where we were into dominating world cricket. And as an Indian fan, I don't think that expecting India to dominate world cricket in the last 10 years is an unreasonable expectation, because we have everything in terms of infrastructure, coaches, money, everything the BCCI and the players have had at their disposal, and much more than any other country. That being the key. Now, there are only 8 or 9 countries which play cricket seriously. In that 8 or 9 countries, is it a big ask that India is number one and can dominate with the team which we have? And that raises my question on not only on, like this is one final which is gone, but there was a semi-final which went back in 2019. There have been 2 ICC Champions trophies which have gone. There have been 2 World Cups which we've gone. Out of all these, I believe that India should have won at least 2 or 3. And now that we've come to this stage, I really want to ask this question, is that do you think that Virat Kohli and Ravi Shashtri together are the right match to take this Indian team ahead? And I ask this question because I've seen the same Indian team do so well in Australia. Like you guys mentioned again, we won the tour in Australia. We got back the series with Ajinkya Rahane being captain. There was no Virat Kohli. We looked our weakest. But I can tell you one thing, out of watching sport for so much time and understanding sport, is that I felt that this team, which was in Australia, was the most united team together. They played for each other. Now, you guys all have played at different levels. Diggy has a club. You guys play everything. Now, is it wrong in saying that on a 6-day match, if there's 3 days which is washed out, if the team is united, if the team wanted to do it, they just had to bat out a bit more? I don't think the team has played for the captain. I don't think that the team has played for themselves, nor do I think that the team has played for the management or the BCCI. What's your opinion?
The captain himself didn't play enough to make us
see, but that's a separate thing in which
that's a point.
The pressure on him. But let's talk about
pressure on him. I'm not saying it's a pressure on him. It's the final day. You walk out into the middle. You are the captain. You set the example for the rest. If you go out playing a silly shot, you don't do it. I understand Virat has a lot of pressure on him.
But let's not talk about one
I'm just saying,
let's not talk about one innings right now. Let's talk about the last 7-8 years where India has not been able to win an ICC trophy.
What kind of pressure, if I would ask you, what kind of pressure are we talking about? Every team goes through that. I mean, even a Kane Williamson did it. Even AB de Villiers and Faf du Plessis have saved the game for South Africa, batted the whole day. You just had to bat through. You see the shots that they've played. You see a Pujara, he tried to leave a ball. You see Rohit Sharma try to leave a ball. You look at a Ajinkya Rahane, flicked a ball down leg side. On the last day, we're talking about all last day shots. We're talking about Kohli. I mean, he's playing off the 12th stump. I mean, what are you even talking about?
On a good batting day.
And the best batting day. I mean, this was the best day for batting. So easy to leave these balls. You don't need to play these balls. What pressure are we talking about?
Bang on. Absolutely. This is absolutely what we were alluding to a while ago. It all comes down to how you perform on the field. But Mangla, all your points and everything that you said is fairly true, because India may be the best side in the world, but they do not have trophies in terms of silverware. Everything is about silverware. No one's going to remember we were number one side and we won everything. It's about winning trophies, as we all know.
Absolutely.
So, but now we cannot be too amateur and call for Virat's head based on this.
No, we're not calling for Virat's head. I'm out and outright calling for Drunkard's head. You can't have Ravi Shah. He's the cancer and he's the poison in the dressing room, and it's not that hard to see that. I mean, look at the guy, right? Look at his demeanor. It stems from the top. I'm not going to call names and all. Like, I met Virat a couple of times. He's a very smart guy. He's very level-headed. He clearly knows what he wants. He knows he's very ambitious personally, and he knows that his personal success will be nothing without the team. And then you have cancerous characters like Ravi Shastri. I mean, look at the guy's lifestyle, right? You can't have a head coach like that. I've had multiple meetings with Gary Kirsten because we were trying to do a project with Gary Kirsten. I met the guy over 15 times, right? You should see, he oozes coach. The minute he walks in the door, you're like, okay, here's a personality who's going to teach me a thing or two. I guarantee you, sit down with Ravi Shastri, I don't know what you learn. Besides some dumbass stories of him doing some dumbass things somewhere, making fun of like other players from lower socio-economic backgrounds. That's Ravi Shastri's life at the CCI.
This is why I wanted Diggy on the podcast.
Right?
This is why I wanted Diggy.
That's the character you're talking about, and obviously a captain's going to have to be close to the coach. Otherwise, there's going to be too much drama and major problems, as we've seen in the past with Virat and Kumble, with Ganguly and Chappell. So
what do you
even if you have bad leadership at the top, it's better that the bad leadership are united rather than bad leadership being like at war with each other. So at least that's one positive. Shastri's got to go. Okay, he's not the guy who's going to win. He's going to show up there when you win a fantastic, fabulous, glitzy match because of a punt and a Rahane, and he's going to show up for the press conference, right? That's when he's going to show up. He's a great orator. So he can inspire you in dull moments, no problem. Is he the leader that you want in the dressing room? Hell no. Like over my dead, I don't even think I'd have him as OCC coach if he was coming for free. Like, I wouldn't do it, right? You just don't want that kind of personality. You just don't want that. Now, when the BCC guy will realize that he's a powerful character, so he's there to stay. Right.
But what you're saying, Diggy, you're absolutely right. But it's a very sticky situation to be in. See, Virat loves Ravi. Ravi loves Virat. Everybody else doesn't matter. This India is always ruled by this power structure, political.
He's had his 5 years. Yeah, it's a long term for a coach.
Absolutely.
Whatever, 4 years or how much ever. It's time to move on when you haven't won the trophies. As Rohan said, the 8 serious test playing nations. Okay, or 8 cricketing nations, of which you just automatically wipe out 4. Because I think on a good day, OCC will beat some of them, right? I mean, you take me to Sri Lanka and you quarantine Sri Lanka for 14 days and give OCC 14 days of hard practice. I think we'd give Sri Lanka a fight right now, okay? So these are like plebby teams now. That's very sad. South Africa, horrible state of affairs. West Indies has been through that grind. At least they're coming out as T20 greats in between here and there because they have some superstars. You're really looking at 5 nations. Is it really hard, as Rohan said, with money, resources, the largest talent pool out of the rest of the entire nations combined 5 times over? Is it that hard to dominate? If Australia could do it for 2 decades, there's no reason why India shouldn't do it for 3 decades. And I feel that we might be losing the edge now because of just blind-sighted attitude towards leadership. It's as simple as that. And there's no harm in split captaincy at this moment.
Yep.
Why does Virat need to be a captain of? Though actually, having said that, he did a pretty decent job in this test match. At least in the first and second innings, he did a fairly decent job. So that'd be a bit of an unfair statement. But from a coaching perspective, I certainly don't think we need someone like Shastri right up there.
But I completely agree on this in terms of captaincy. So coaching perspective is, I clearly agree, but in terms of captaincy, we have removed great personalities as captain. Sachin Tendulkar was removed. Sourav Ganguly was removed. At one point, Dravid was removed. If you can remove these 3, why can't you just make Virat step down from limited overs format if you're not winning ICC trophies?
I mean, see, Virat will eventually win, right? Because there's so much happening now. You have the T20 World Cup which is coming. But the point over here is not about... It's about, again and again, I keep reiterating this one thing which comes into my mind is when Steve Waugh gave the captaincy to Ricky Ponting made sure Australia dominated for the next 8 or 10 years in all aspects. You know, that's where I, as an Indian cricket fan since way back, I've always wanted my team, my country to do that at this level. And I felt that this was the biggest opportunity in the history of Indian cricket to dominate world cricket in the last 10 years, which, and putting it simply, India has failed at doing. Now you can say that, yes, you can discuss about captaincy, you can discuss about players, you can discuss about situations, but everything is similar for the other teams also.
I think you sum it up well. Mangla. You sum it up well. You at the end of the day, everything is about the result and winning tournaments.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't get to, you may be doing everything right per se and as per the books. But if you do not win an important final like this one, where we will not get a chance again for the next 2 years to win something like this. And, this is something which the board, as Diggy and all of y'all are saying, I think off the field now is where we'll have to make the decisions, how will the vision for
my
India
next prediction,
forward.
and at least it's being recorded. India is not going to make a World Test Championship final for, say it happens every 2 years. We won't make it for the next 4 years. We're not going to make a final. So forget about that.
Diggy, it's not predictions. Diggy is always prophecies of doom. But I mean,
I'm just stating
I
fact.
like that.
And I'm the first to admit that
I tend to agree. I honestly tend to agree with Diggy because I don't see it coming either. I see that this team getting further divided at this point of time.
I'm with Rohan on this. I don't like to speak bad about India. I don't like to hear about it.
We are not speaking bad about India.
We are just optimistic. We are just optimistic over it.
I'll ask a question if I can, though I know it's Rohan Manglani's platform.
No, it's your platform. It's you ask whichever question
you also see yourself. I think, I don't know about Rohan Kulkarni, but Mananjay, Chug, I know you guys are football fans. Rohan, are you a football fan?
Yeah.
Bangla is.
Yeah.
I'm not a football fan, right? For me, my go-to sport is cricket, then maybe tennis, and then golf to watch as an entertainment. I don't see myself watching cricket 10 years down the line. I don't see. Look, India's a country of like idol worship, right? We watch it for certain stars and heroes, right? After Sachin, Dhoni completely encapsulated the mindset of the nation when it came to cricket, and he filled that gap. He transitioned beautifully. Virat came along, transitioned beautifully. I don't see India producing that next superstar as also someone you can idolize. I'm a huge Virat fan, but he's losing his sheen somewhere there. And I don't know what it is. It's a bunch of these various factors. So my question is, do you see yourself watching cricket as an ardent cricket fan? Franchise cricket, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about India, right? Franchise cricket will have your superstars no matter what, because that's just the nature of how that entire tournament is built, whether it's Big Bash or IPL. But do you, because Mananjay is saying that I love India and I support India, of course, we're all patriots and I would want India to win more than not win, right? Do you see yourself watching Indian cricket as passionately after the Virat and Rohit era? Simple question. Virat, Rohit retire. What do you look forward to? Are you going to tune into the telly as passionately as you do today to watch Indian cricket?
To be honest, yes. And why is because the talent that we've got right now, looking into this, I mean, we've got some great talent coming up and that's going to be really exciting. We're going to have, I think, like the likes of Shubman Gill. He's 19 right now. See him at the age of 25. He's going to be unreal. The ball.
Okay.
We've got like 5, 6. I think our under 23 can challenge any international team out here. That's why I would not take in names, but yes, I would watch Indian cricket because of the raw talent that's coming in. You have a look at these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old boys. They are unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that's the only
fair enough.
I would watch the Indian cricket team coming up in the next 5-6 years. Actually, I'm waiting for this to happen.
Okay, that's interesting perspective. Okay.
Manan, what do you go for it?
I think it's an interesting question Diggy posed. Diggy, it's like a mirror in front of you. I'll ask you a question back and then I'll continue if I can. Would you be able to idolize someone like Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma the way you idolize Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar? No, that's never going to happen. When we are young, the kind of heroes that we form are the heroes that we will always look up to. If you ask the generation before us, they will think Gavaskar is leagues ahead of Tendulkar and Dravid and whoever you may have ever seen. And he played on uncovered wickets with no protective gear. 6 balls, bouncers could be bowled. So this is a very generational thing. I think to pose that question that will we have someone who we idolize? No, we definitely won't. But I love Indian cricket. I will want to see my team doing well. So I may not form heroes, but I will continue to admire. And Chuk makes a very good point. Today, Shubman Gill is 19 years old. Today, Mayank Agarwal is 21, 22 years old. All these young boys who look inept, when they are 22, 23, the kind of exposure that they've got, the wickets that they've played on, it's only going to enrich them. And as I said, dogs, it's like putting a mirror in front of yourself. I like the guy I was 10 years ago more than I like the guy that I am now. So, it's just something which it's a perspective. So I think your question is a fair question. So to answer it in a nutshell, no. I won't want to idolize anyone after Virat and Rohit, but I hope that they continue to impress elders. Like now we'll be 40s and 40s soon. Not Rohan. Rohan is 21. Rohan looks really cool. But we'll be old really soon. So, I would just think that I hope they continue to impress us and they continue to make heroes out of the guys who we look at and we think they may not do it. That's all I would like to say.
Yeah, fair point.
Rohan, give us a millennial perspective.
By the way, I'm 23. I look young.
You're still millennium. You're Gen Z, brother.
I'm Gen Z.
Yeah.
I won't idolize someone like how I did Sachin, for example, or like I do Rohit for now. I've never been a big Virat fan. But I don't know if I will, but I'm pretty sure I'll keep watching cricket right now whenever it's possible, because we've been brought up in a cricket loving nation. Like, unlike football, like we were 5, we were 4, and I used to wake up in the morning to watch India play Australia down under. So it's a different feeling altogether. I don't think I'll ever replace that, but I'm not sure if I will idolize someone else. I never thought I will idolize someone else except Sachin, like when Sachin retired. But I did like Rohit, and I still did how people switch off TVs when Sachin get out. I still do it when Rohit gets out and tune it back after 5 minutes. But it's the same thing, right? Like, you will, if not idolize, I will still watch cricket like I used to. Like, that's for sure, wherever I am. That's what, at least I hope to. I hope these guys perform enough for me to watch it then.
Man, from my perspective, I think Diggy's question was simple, is that are you going to still watch Indian cricket as much? I think, Diggy, yes, because honestly, tradition is something which has come long before, when in the Kapil Dev era, when we won the 1983 World Cup. When he scored that 175, which there's not even one piece of recording for that 175 which he made. So that build-up has already been done. I will always follow Test cricket, whether we have a completely new 11 or whether we are continuing with this same level, whatever, because I love the sport more than probably the people who are playing it. It's easy to fall in love with cricket in that sense. However, having said that, will anybody now become as big as Sachin Tendulkar, Sunil Gavaskar, or MS Dhoni? I think that's very tough, because the generation has changed so much. I feel that if this generation of the Virat Kohlis, Rohit Sharma achieved a bit more, we would have made them that, we would have given them the stature we give Dhoni. And I think for all of us, Dhoni is as close as it gets when you come to a comparison between Dhoni and even Sachin Tendulkar or Rahul Dravid. Because you know how much they've done and they've given.
Yeah. Dhoni is in a league of his own. Absolutely.
He's won it all. He's won it all.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni is now, he's something which defines the last gentleman aspect of the game. If there was a gentleman in the game, I think MS was truly an epitome of that.
Absolutely. All right. So now coming back to, basically I'm going to ask you guys now one question on Pant. And then we'll move on to whether we feel that we'll take a vote and see whether we feel that Virat should be the captain ahead or not, but we'll wait for that. But however, do you think now that Rishabh Pant, we do understand that he's young, he's developing, but do you think that he was a letdown in the match, in the test match, in this WTC final?
Why?
Because throwing away his wicket, and he's done that now a few times. And he's done it in important games. I'm just asking you whether you think it's a letdown, or are we talking about as important as a game that he made us win back in Australia? With his 41 that he scored. That's New Zealand right now would be chasing 100 if it wasn't for him. Yeah, you expect more out of a wicketkeeper batsman. We've been, now as Indian fans, we've been pampered to getting the best out of our wicketkeeper batsmen in the last 10 years. Who are you going to replace him with, is my question. See, this is one thing which I never agree with. That who are you going to replace this person with, or who are you going to replace a captain with? Because for me, sport is something which you never ask the question who. The who always comes. When one hero goes, another hero rises. That's the opportunity. Pant has done everything that you want. He scored you 40s. He scored you 80s. He's kept brilliantly this test match. He is another Sehwag. Yeah, it's okay you compare him to a Sehwag, but I think that his responsibility batting little lower down the order is much more. Like, for example, again, I go back to the 2019 World Cup. I mean, the way he threw away his wicket in that semi-final, you expected him to just be there at the wicket. Everything is not about you go and you play your natural game or whatever you want to do.
See, my thing with these guys are all X factor players, right? I mean, you have anybody else in that position, whether it's a Saha or a new upcoming guy, they'll may or may not, but at the moment, there's nobody who'll be able to do what he does. I mean, Nathan Lyon in that 91 not out that he made to win us, Nathan Lyon beat him outside the off stump. He was batting with number 7 or 8. No other wicketkeeper, left-handed batsman against the turn, and the right man would go down the track next ball and hit him for 6. He pulled it off, hero. Now, if he had gotten out, we'd all be abusing him. But the fact is that could anyone else have pulled it off? He pulled it off. He was there, 91. Even Shardul Thakur, who played fantastically well in the first innings, crumbled under pressure and got out when there were just 10 runs to win. Right? So for a punt, I don't think he takes the pressure. He just backs himself to do it. And the chances that he will lose you a lot of games, but the fact is that he'll win you more games doing that than anybody else out there. So, as crusty as he is and as ugly as he looks, Dhoni was a bloody ugly looking test cricketer. Horrible technique, right? And Rishabh Pant will far exceed him in terms of number of catches taken, batting average and hundreds made at the same position batting as MS Dhoni, and we're talking about a great MS Dhoni, right? So Rishabh Pant will win you games from there, whereas MS Dhoni in test cricket in that scenario is still a fair weather player. You see all of MS Dhoni's hundreds and whatever, that odd double hundred he made, all Indian friendly batting tracks. Rishabh will do it in England, he'll do it in New Zealand, he might even get you a quick fire 50 of like 40 balls, which will completely change a test match scenario, which I don't see any other player, even if there's an opportunity coming, I don't see any other wicket-keeper batsman in India in the next 3 or 4 years being able to pull that off. They might be able to defend their way, gritty knock, but do you really need that? I'd rather have a defender, gritty knock in my top 6 and have this guy come in at 7 and be like, boss, either I'll just completely throw it away or I'll give you a chance at winning. I'd rather take that, give you a chance at winning.
Even I would agree on this same point. I will gamble on
Rishabh
Pant any day. Yeah.
That's what Australia did, right? Australia has dominated cricket. Why? Because Gilchrist did the same thing at 7.
Yeah.
You have 6 batsmen to score you on an average in a test match. 6 and even do 250 runs. This guy can come in and hit you a 45 ball 17 a test match and take the test match away. I mean,
exactly.
Like having a Sheva coming in at number 7. I'll take that.
Yeah, and I think
want to find a Lakshman. Find a Lakshman. Tell Ajinkya is there, right?
To find them. Find your players over there. This is.
I think Rishabh played his role very nicely in the second innings. It is his job to come down and hit it off. Simple as that. The top 6 didn't do their job.
Imagine if he gets better at it.
That's lovely.
If he's doing the 91s and 41s, and he changes that 41 to a 71 and a 91 to 120. Imagine him getting better at doing this stupid shit. That's scary.
Let's face it. We saw what Kohli had done back, I think, when he had come in with those 4 centuries in Australia. He could make you win those games. What Rishabh Pant made you win out here? A one-man show again. Kohli that time 4 matches, 4 centuries. We were chasing about some 350 runs, 120 runs needed with 8 wickets in hand.
Yeah.
At the same point as as Rishabh Pant was here. Here it's fearless. This guy kills you. He doesn't only kill you. He kills the
that's
team.
absolutely right. I mean, following up on what everyone's saying, Rishabh Pant is an impact player. And just for what he did in Australia, he should be given a license for 2-3 years. Ke bhai, tu India ke liye khel. I think that was a monumental achievement. And Mangla adding more, even though the second what he played and he got out cheaply and he played a rash shot. As Juk said, if it wasn't for those 40 odd runs that he got, we would have had even more pedestrian total,
And adding to it, the 41 he scored were in the same manner. Not like he was playing in a different way. He was stepping down and hitting it. So he wasn't changing his game plan.
He was bowled 5 times.
So he wasn't changing his plan. Yeah, simple as that. He wasn't changing his plan. He stuck to his plan. Whatever the 40 he scored, it was his plan. And he got out playing his plan. So that's fine. If you play outside your plan, then it's not fine.
Remember, Saudi dropped a sitter. So Saudi had an easy catch in second slip. Tom Latham normally stands there. Saudi, just on that moment, Saudi was there in second slip. He dropped it. So, bro, you have to capitalize. This is Rishabh Pant for you. Gilchrist was the
If he
same.
got out like 10 or 50 balls, that'd be pretty disappointing actually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
the longer he's at the crease, the more chances he gives the opposition.
That's
Which
true.
means if he's only made 10 runs for the chances he's giving them, I'd rather have him make 50 or 50 balls and give
I
them
think
2-3
it's best-
chances and hope for the
It's
best.
best for the person on the other end. You know, if you're standing on the other end with Rishabh Pant, you are instantly, energized. You feel that now I'm more resolute. I can play my game. There's this crazy guy on the other end. He's doing all this drama. I have to just bat on. It's like, when us Diggy, when we used to back in the day with, there was this player called Faggy, bro, in OCC. He was like a super player. I was always making cheap runs. When I batted with him, I somehow made runs. Just
And
one of those
trust me,
things.
Rishabh Pant topic is not going to close for the next 5 years. You are going to abuse him.
That's a
Again,
possibility.
There is a difference. There is a difference between what a Dhoni did. He came out very shabby. He came out very aggressive, and a Pant. Dhoni changed his style of batting. You aren't going to see a Pant change. You aren't going to see a difference over there. You're going to abuse him till the time he's then, in Indian.
You don't want to see that.
Let's face it.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yeah.
This is who he is, and this is what he is.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So now, just to sum it up, from all of you, would you stick with Kohli in all three formats? If you stick with Kohli in all three formats, then great. If you don't stick with Kohli in all three formats, then who else what changes would you make at the captaincy, only the captaincy level? Karan, go first.
No, I would keep Kohli there. I would yet
In
keep
all
Kohli
three
there.
formats?
Yeah, I mean, for right now, I would keep him there. Yeah. If I had to change him only, I would change him only in a T20, and that's about it. Let him be a Test captain. I think he's doing a pretty good job, at least on the field. Yes, he's even getting you runs. So I don't see the fact that, I would keep a Kohli there for Test and One Day for sure. I wouldn't change him out there.
Diggy?
Well, now you're forcing me to talk about captaincy. So yeah, let him just stay. But if you get rid of the coach, then the dynamic changes. So if you get rid of the coach, I think there's a good case to be made for split captaincy. But as long as the coach is there, Kohli, just let him be.
Okay, for 1 second, we assume that the coach is gone. So who's your number one contender for the split captaincy?
I'd keep Kohli captain in short format. Let him be a T20 and ODI captain, and give Rahane at least the next World Test Championship run as captain before he decides to retire or you move him away or whatever it is. Just plug him there as a leader and say that from now till the entire World Test Championship period, 2 or 3 years, give him like a full run and let him build his test team, because he's the only one who's playing that format along with Pujara all the time, and his say for his 11 I think needs to be heard.
That's a very balanced opinion.
Rather than Virat's points of bringing him all his Bangalore and RCB guys.
Fair. Manan?
Well, for the question's sake, I would have Ajinkya Rahane as Test captain, just so that his career's elongated, so that he gets to play a few more years of Test cricket, and he showed a good performance in Australia. ODIs, I would keep Virat, and T20s, undoubtedly, I would have Rohit Sharma as the captain.
Also 3 captains.
I will go exactly with what Manager said. Like that, Rohit has proved himself as a captain, even if it's IPL. It's the shortest format. I would still go. We still haven't won the T20
You want to break a power structure? This is how you do it. You do it in a very organized fashion where everyone is happy, but slowly you're pulling the reins away from this whole nexus of Kohli and Shastri. And I think Diggy makes a good point about it all starts with the coach. So if you want to remove Shastri, then all the possibilities open up. Like these possibilities.
Imagine the Rahul Dravid coming in. You'll have more structure in your team.
Should be with Colts only, bro. I don't think Dravid will work with the senior team. I think he's good with the youngsters. I don't know.
Maybe he will. At some point, if he's such an established player.
If
he's
you
such an established player.
Rahul Dravid, if you really ask a Rahul Dravid, do you want to coach this Indian team? He himself would say no.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's absolutely right. He's not interested in that.
But I would still prefer a Rahul Dravid right now at this point.
But think about the
to
dynamic.
Just maintain a balance.
A Dravid and a Rahane with all new Test 11 for 3 years where there are very few common players between your test side and the ones playing the short format. So say you build a side of 20 or you identify those 20 players under Dravid and Rahane, and there will be Rohit, Virat, maybe Pant as the only 3 people who will be playing the other formats. And I don't look at the other people. They'll all be test specialists in my view. Maybe a Jadeja. Maybe a Jadeja. So you have 4 people who bring in the flavor of the short format game as well. But you're looking at 6 or 7 specialists like Pujara, Rahane, Ishant if he plays longer, maybe groom a Saini and tell him, dude, for 3 years you're not going to be playing ODI. So, forget that. We have the whoever else, Shardul Thakurs of the world to do that stuff because they'll toss him whenever they feel like tossing him. You don't want a Hardik Pandya or a Krunal Pandya just because, they first need to change their names or get like a makeover in terms of attitude, figure out what Prithvi Shaw needs to do, send him to school again.
I don't understand how Krunal plays for India. Krunal is such an ordinary player.
They all just need to go to finishing school for 6 months and they'll be fine. They just... Rahul Dravid needs to not be the head of the NCA, he needs to be head of a finishing school, saying that, okay, this guy's uber talented, let's just fix the guy's mind. Let him come spend time with you, not in nets. Just call him home. Between VVS and Dravid, they should have a bedroom which is dedicated to having these players live with them for some time to be like, that's how you become a role model, right? Otherwise, kids are not going to look up to you. Just shave, look presentable, right? Talk the talk and, just be people who the nation needs to look up to, because once you go down that path, you're influencing millions of kids to be your way. And your way is just, it's frightening, right? Hardik Pandya thinks he's Viv Richards' son. Viv Richards' son has a complex, right? And Krunal is fucking confused because he's like, I've got this brother who thinks he's like a black dude wearing all these things, married to a white chick with a Gujarati name, and I live in the same household with this guy, and my identity is completely confused. Right? So, no, it's a problem. You don't understand. You think it's a joke, but it's a huge problem.
It is.
Rahul Dravid remained a Rahul Dravid throughout his career. You don't think Sachin Tendulkar could have been corrupted 1,000,000 times every day? He had a very strong foundation as a family. Sachin Tendulkar was Sachin Tendulkar because he tried to maintain, he would try to be himself. Right? A VVS always stayed true to his nature. These guys are damn confused. They're damn confused. They just don't have and then they have, who do they look up to? As Rohan Manglani said. No, they look up to a 600 crore Virat Kohli and a guy who can't wake up before 12 for nets, right? In their coach.
But
whose belly is growing bigger and bigger.
You have to understand, this is a reflection of society. Today's society thrives on this instant gratification. The problem is, at the end of the day, everything is a reflection, whether it's art, whether it's sport, whether it's culture. And trust me, the guys of Rahul Dravid and VVS Rakshans will not work in this age. You see the youngsters coming through today.
Look at a Pujara, look at a Ajinkya Rahane,
look at Kane Williamson. Look at Kane Williamson, man.
How many people in India look up to a Ajinkya Rahane and a Cheteshwar Pujara versus a Hardik Pandya and a Krunal Pandya? You'll be surprised. Many people will be like, yeah, I want to be like Hardik. I want to get the latest haircut like Hardik.
No, I agree. Which is why just shaft them in the short format, keep them there, have a separate coach, have separate leadership for that, have a separate Instagram leadership and have a separate email leadership, right? Test match cricket like email. Sometimes you don't even check in and you can take your time to respond. Instagram and WhatsApp is all about the here and now. So have that, because money will dictate what these guys do. Have your Instagram and Twitter worlds and have your email and handwriting world as well. They both can coexist. They can coexist, right? And we have to make that happen. And the BCCI needs to realize that that's the way it has to happen. You can't have a Shardul Thakur and a Washington Sundar doing everything all the time, dude. You're going to destroy their careers. You're going to completely destroy and shatter their careers. And it's about time we're cognizant of the fact that split, other countries have already done it, And again, we take our time to see, Australia did that well, England did that well, now New Zealand has done that well. But boss, come on, figure it out. It's not rocket science, They're succeeding for a reason. And even if they don't, learn from their mistakes, right? We just take too long to figure it out. And I think now it's time. It's time we figure that out.
Well, on that note, I think Diggy, you sum it up very well, and I think everybody else here. But on that note, we look forward now to the England series, and we do look forward also to India and Sri Lanka playing. Which there was a joke that Sri Lanka is the Dolo 650 for Indian cricket fans because we always eventually win over there. So on that note, we'll thank you, boys. Thank you, and we'll do one now before the England series. And
that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
That's going to be bloody exciting.
It is. And we'll take your predictions we'll take the optimistic predictions and maybe not the not so optimistic predictions before the series.
I'm just going to give my optimistic predictions. At least I hope from my saying India will win.
All right. On that note, thanks, boys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Yeah, bye.